overview of where the quarterbacks are right now in your mind?
An overview. I would think there's been a lot of improvement so far. This will be practice 11 today. I think they've steadily improved. There's only been a couple days where we've maybe gone into the video room the following day after practice and said, you know what, that wasn't a day that we grew. Maybe one day, but there's been a hunger to come to work and to learn and grow, and there's been a lot of growth. So overall, we're starting to understand, I think now a lot more than the first couple of weeks, like what the whole offense has the ability to look like. When we know what we're supposed to do and we can go out there and execute it. And they've been at the forefront of that, taking control, and I think every day provides new opportunities for those guys to learn little intricacies about the offense, and they're willing to come in one day at a time and to take their bumps and bruises and to learn and to come back and do it again the next day. So really pleased overall with where they are.
To follow up on that, what do you think this offense can do well when everybody kind of gets their ground under them a little bit?
Move the ball and score points, and be explosive. That's I think we've proven that we can do that when we have been on our game, and there's a long way to go to do that consistently, and I think that's where everybody is right now. We see the highs, we see the opportunities to grow still. So, but at the end of the day, we want to have the opportunity to control the tempo, whether that's going fast all the time or not, control the tempo of the football game and to be able to be explosive.
How big of an adjustment has that tempo been for you? It's a little bit different than Iowa State.
It's been a lot different. We did have the opportunity to play fast at times, probably not to what this offense is, and how it happens and how it all works is probably the most unique piece. That's a different offense than what this one is. So it's been new for me, and just like these quarterbacks, every day that I go out there, there's something new that I learn, which is awesome. To be coaching for not a super long time in my life so far, but to be able to go out and practice every single day and to continue to learn, that's refreshing.
When you think about if your guys can master playing at the highest tempo you want to play at, in your mind's eye, does it excite you about what you can do when you get to that point?
Oh yeah.
Playing at that level all the time.
Oh yeah, and I think these guys, everybody that you would talk to on offense at any position, there's video evidence of what it looks like, when it's executed properly, and that's exciting. That's any offense gets excited to move the ball, move it fast, score points, and to be explosive. So, yeah, to say what it can look like when we continue to grow and reach our full potential, yeah, I think that's really exciting.
What was the evaluation and recruiting process with Bryce, obviously a guy you guys brought on since you arrived?
The recruiting process?
An evaluation,
In terms of?
Getting him in as a transfer.
Oh, yeah, there really wasn't a ton of recruiting that went into it. I think Bryce, if you ask him, would say, there was a relationship that he had formed with Coach Golish before, he even went, to the school that he chose out of high school. And then, I wasn't involved too much in any of that. So Bryce, would probably be the best one to talk to in that. But, I think I remember Bryce as a high school player when I was at Iowa State, and to go back to his high school video, it was fun to watch. He had the opportunity to be a runner, had an opportunity to have explosive plays with his arm. And the offense that he ran, in high school is similar to the one that we run right here. So, I think there was a fit there, and, one thing led to another, and it was a pretty easy transition.
What's his transition been like since he got here?
It's been, again, if you ask him, he'd be able to give you the best answers, but I think it is similar but different. to what he did in high school. There's probably, if there was 3 layers in his high school offense, there's probably 20 layers here. So probably at the bare bones of what our offense is, somewhere in there is probably what he was really comfortable with in high school. And there's been a lot of learning, and a lot of learning to do, and he has learned a lot, so far.
So Byron Brown got to play at the end of last year, started 2 games. So I know you probably looked at it. It's a smaller sample size, but from what you did see, anything, impressions or any takeaways from his experience from last year?
Yeah, I think the same things that you would see if you came to practice any single day. He's in control. He's really poised. He doesn't freak out when things fall apart around him. And he's a really good leader, and he finds a way to make a good decision after good decision after good decision. And what that turns into is he takes really good care of the football. And I think you saw that, in his opportunities to play as a really young guy, last fall, which is really hard to do. And he hasn't changed much, from what I was able to take away from the video last year. Man, was he 100% confident in every single thing that was going on, within a game plan? That's hard as a young guy, but I think, right now what you're seeing is he's taking great care of the football. He's a great leader, and now he has a lot more confidence than probably at the end of the season even.
When you see a young guy that takes care of the football like he does, and even before he played, the coaches last year were saying that he had that. Is that, to you, directly preparation based?
It is, and I think it's a little bit of just who he is, his DNA as a quarterback. That just didn't start like overnight. That's years of playing the position and understanding the emphasis on taking care of the football. And like those are conscious decisions. When you step on the field and you play quarterback, you understand that there's a premium on taking care of the ball. Some guys get that, some guys don't. And I think if you went back and probably watched him all through high school, he's probably been that way for a long time, and he's just continuing to be who he is.
Obviously, Bohannon's limited in what he's able to physically do right now, but what's your impressions on kind of what you've seen from him just in meeting rooms and what have you?
He's awesome. He's awesome. I mean, to have a quarterback in the room that has the experience that he does have is invaluable, one. And if you were just talking about him alone, it'd be great that he had that experience. What makes him so awesome for our room, for me, our young guys, is that he's willing to use the experiences that he's had and help these guys. And he's willing to give them everything that he knows. And that's not an easy thing to do, as a quarterback, because it's kind of like, man, do I really want to give away, all the answers to the tests? And here are these, talented young guys that are going to be competing with me. So to say that he's been a selfless leader in that room is an understatement. He's been above and beyond, what I thought he would be.
He's a coach, right? Future coach.
Man, he's got a future in it if he wants it.
And Coach Golish had talked about when he was at Iowa State, he was recruiting Gary. You saw him play basketball. Were you on the staff then? Were you involved in that?
That was before I was on the field recruiting. I remember watching his video, not having a big say-so and, how much we were going to recruit him or not recruit him. But I do remember watching his video and thinking that he was a really good player, at the time. And then, actually, I've watched that video since I've been back here just to go back and kind of see, the player that he was in high school. And I think you see the same things that made him special in high school, his ability to be accurate, have a really strong arm, and when things break down or it's a design run, that he's really dangerous on his feet. So I'm excited, to get him back and to be able to see that live.
And whether it's spring football, fall camp, any place, the fans question, one of the first ones, how the quarterback's looking, who's your number one quarterback, et cetera. So what's ahead for the rest of spring and into fall to get you in a position where you know, okay, here's our guy, we move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's going to be a everyday process. You know, we're not going to come out of the spring and say, you know, this guy's guaranteed the starter, this guy's number 2. It's going to be an ongoing process of evaluation. And there's been, you know, multiple guys. You know, Bryce has got reps with the ones, okay? Byron's got reps with the ones. Ryan's gotten reps with the ones at times. And we've done that, you know, on purpose to kind of see what it looks like, you know, when each guy's out there, and to also get those guys to understand that, you know, it's going to be a competitive environment, you know, from here on out. And they've been awesome, you know, as far as competing, making each other better. And I think they know that we're going to have to go through the summer in the exact same way, take that into fall camp, and then it's going to be on. And then, you know, we'll figure it out when we need to figure it out. But I'm excited to kind of see, you know, where that competition goes.
What made you want to be a part of the year one? Coach Golich kind of gave his opening press conference. You know, he's been a part of like 3 or 4 year ones. What made this one appealing to you?
Well, Coach Golich, number one, I had a relationship with him, obviously, from Iowa State. And if it wasn't for that relationship, I wouldn't be here, you know. So it was one of those deals where Coach Golich reached out to me, kind of gauged my interest in, you know, coming down here and being a part of this staff and the year one, you know, piece of rebuilding this program. And it took some thought, you know, to figure out if it was what I wanted to do, but at the end of the day, and it wasn't just me, it was my wife, and figuring out if it was the best for our family. But I think the big picture for me was I'm going to have a chance to work with Coach Golich, who we had become pretty close in our time at Iowa State, and that's a big piece. But to move to Florida, that was also a piece that went into it, without a doubt. Got 2 young kids that them having the opportunity to go outside and play in the sun year-round was a part of it. But the biggest piece is to try to do something needed for this program, you know, which is get it going back in the right direction and do the things that this football program is capable of doing. You know, I knew growing up that, you know, this program was elite at one point, and for one reason or another, it hasn't been, you know, to this day. And I think that opportunity to come help Coach Golich, number one, that's a good friend of mine, and now my boss, but try to help him in his journey to do this the right way and to get this program, you know, back where it needs to be. Like, that's a great challenge. And as a coach, man, you don't know if you're going to get those opportunities, honestly. And all of the things that, you know, went into the challenge and the decision, it was in line, you know, with me and my wife. And, you know, we came down here and we've been all in.
How enticing is it for you and maybe for the other coaches who came here that, you know, you go to a lot of places and do things that have been done before. Here, you could be the first to win a conference championship. You could be the first to open a stadium. There's other things. Like, it's not just a continuum. You have a chance to put a flag in the ground kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Those opportunities, yeah, not everybody's going to have a chance to be a part of, you know, new facilities and a stadium and winning a conference championship for the first time. So I think, you know, that was obviously a piece of it, not just trying to get, you know, South Florida football back where it belongs, but yeah, you know, some of those unique things that, you know, to be a part of that no one else will have an opportunity to do. Yeah, those things are special. And, you know, looking back on it, you know, one day as a coach, like, those will always be special memories, you know, for the coaches, for the players in this program. And I think that was just part of the, you know, not just come here and, man, try to win some games, but, you know, I would have come here if we weren't getting a new stadium. You know, those things are nice, without a doubt, they're going to be really special for, I think, the community as much as anything, to try to bring, the South Florida community together in a way that it hasn't ever had a chance to do that before. So, yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. So, made the move, and, we got a lot of work to do, but we're going to go after it.
Transfer portals opening up again here pretty soon. Obviously, the windows are different, so it's kind of a little bit new in that regard. Do you have any idea what to expect when it opens in terms of how many, quality, anything like that?
Man, just to go on the history of the portal so far, there's been times where it's gotten flooded, like in a day or two, and there's been times where it's been a little bit slower. So I don't know exactly what it'll bring. That's a great question. So we'll have to get to that day and kind of feel it out, when it gets there. But it's obviously a big change, in the last couple of years in college football that is changing the landscape. So I think obviously we'll be aware of what's going on with it, and to say that I can tell you, man, how many guys will get into it or who, I can't answer that for you.
Is it a thing where when it opens, you almost can't think fast enough? Like, okay, this guy, we got a relationship with him, we know the high school coach. I mean, does it move that fast?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely moves fast. I think you have to know, from our standpoint or anybody's standpoint, what needs that you would even be looking to fulfill, by looking in the portal. I'm sure all of the names, if you're just looking at names, yeah, it's going to be overwhelming. But I think if you have an idea of, man, we got a need here, and what your starting point is, then at least you got the opportunity to be a little bit, more detailed in your approach to it. But yeah, it is overwhelming. I remember, seeing just names and names and names, and you're like, whoa, like this is wild. But I think, Coach Golish and our recruiting staff here will have a really good handle on what's going on. And, if we have a need somewhere, then we'll have our eyes in the right place. And like you mentioned, I think, and to Bryce's point, those relationships, that you might create with a young man recruiting them at school A, they leave school A, and then there ends up being a need. Those relationships are ones that you already have, and hopefully there's some trust, in those relationships, both from the coach to the player, and that's reciprocated. And some of those things work out pretty fast, when they line up like that. So those are the ones that, if you can find, obviously someone that and there's a need and it aligns, that those are, pretty logical ones for us.